Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I'm Nathalia Melo, your host, and today I have an incredible guest, and I have been trying to get her on because we go kind of way back when. Way back. And it's been amazing to watch her journey. She's a professional MMA fighter, #1 featherweight contender in the Bellator MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Judo Black belt. But most importantly, she's also mom to Isabella. Leah McCourt, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited to have you. Like I really am. It's been incredible to watch your journey, especially knowing that we really go way back.
Yeah, like way back before people like really when I started training in MMA is when I obviously knew you and I worked in David Lloyd. It's crazy, like so long ago. It feels like a different lifetime ago.
I know. So I'm going to go to a question that I really want. I have on my list to leave it for last, but I want to ask this now before I forget. Because I know that as, you know, you're #1 contender right now. So you're like in the top of the food chain. And I listened in a podcast that you do not have a manager.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I have managed my whole career to this point myself.
That is impressive.
Nobody really does that. Everybody has someone like negotiating their deals, negotiating their sponsorship deals. And I have just found I've been able to work in a way that I could do it myself because can build good relationships with people and I have done. Now I know some people may not be able to do that, but it is quite unique in my position.
Yeah. And so this is the reason why I wanted to ask this question now, because whenever I met you, you worked in sales in the gym that I used to go to. And this is going back in 2013.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. 10 years ago. Wow.
2013, 2014. And you always were so nice, so personable. So do you think that experience that you had with sales there helps you now with managing yourself?
Definitely, because I remember when I started working in like the gyms, I worked in fitness first, I worked in David Lloyd, I was quite shy and I didn't, to be honest, I am quite quiet. My mum always says I'm not like the loudest in the room, I'm quite quiet spoken, but when I speak to someone, it's like there's like a depth to it. It's never just like surface level, like I actually, care. I want to like, if I want to speak to you, I'll speak to you, and if I don't, I don't. So I'm quite, yeah, you're quite like me. I'm quite direct, and then straight to the point that I have no time for like small talk or bullshit. It's like,
yes, I hate small talk. Although in Belfast, I found the weather today. I'm like, man, it rains every day. Can we talk about something else?
I know. So it's like I'm quite impatient as well. I'm like, I want things to be done yesterday. Like I need to control it myself. I need to do it myself, and I like trust myself to get it done. That's the way I've always been.
I love that. Okay, so that out of the way, because I was really curious about that, because I was blown away when I heard that. And I'm like, holy shit. And she manages herself and she's getting all these deals. That's incredible. So how did we get here? Like, I know that you started judo as a kid, and then you are a single mom. Is that correct?
Yeah. Whenever I had Isabella, I always wanted to learn. So I've always had like a really strong work ethic. Like I was working like 3 jobs when I was pregnant with Isabella. Then obviously as soon as I had Isabella, I started working in fitness first, and I was working in David Lloyd, but I had started training in like an MMA gym. So with my background, I loved martial arts. I loved watching martial arts. I'd always done judo. I was always competitive. I was like on the chess team. I had horses. I was horse riding. I was doing basketball, hockey. Like I was always been super competitive. And when I seen that it was kind of at a time where Ronda Rousey, Chris Cyborg, Gina Carano, like they were starting to like, oh, there's actually girls fighting. You can actually do this. that I kind of fell into training in an MMA gym in Belfast. And when they heard I had a judo background, they were like, oh, you should have a fight. And my first fight was in 2014. It was in the Ulster Hall in Belfast. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I was just literally thrown in. It was like at the deep end. And then that's kind of how it started.
So you mentioned that you were working 3 jobs whenever. So you did judo when you were a kid, and did you take a
Yes.
break from it and
So
then
I took a break and started this is so random, competing in horse riding, like competitively. Like I had like 3 horses. I was so in love with horse riding. But then I developed an allergy to horses. Most random story ever. Couldn't ride horses anymore. And then had my daughter Isabella.
How old were you when you had her?
I was 18.
Oh, wow.
So young. And it seems like everybody was like, was that really difficult? And my mum and everybody was like, you just dealt with it. It's like, you just got on with it. Like, you didn't even complain about being pregnant or tired. You were like working. And I've always had like a real drive. I don't know why, because I've always had this like, I have to do better, be better. What can I do next? And I was doing that when I was pregnant. I was doing like my fitness instructor qualification, I did my driving test, I did my spin qualification. I was working about up until I gave birth. And then when I had Isabella, I was straight back to work again. So yeah, it's kind of been down to my kind of non-stop like drive is why I've kept pushing because there's nobody really done it before me from Belfast. I'm sure you know, like there's nobody really just followed to see, okay, where did they fight? What promotion did they fight on? What team did they go to? You know, there's no correct formula to get here. I just kind of had to keep have good discernment and I like make the correct decisions along the way.
How old was your daughter when you started training again for MMA?
So I actually only started MMA after I had her. So I was about 19 and I started learning striking. So she must have been maybe 1. So it was really from like the start of her life is when I started MMA. It was kind of like a new chapter.
Did you bring her?
She used to come training. Yeah, I used to bring her to the gym, but she never came to fight. She's been to 1 or 2 fights of mine recently because she's a little bit older. I still don't really like her coming because it's not a nice environment for your daughter.
Agreed.
Because it's your mum. Do you know what I mean? I think
getting punched in the face.
Yeah, I don't like really when kids are at fights. It's just my personal opinion. I think, maybe when she's a bit older.
I love that. I have so many questions. So you have like a 1-year-old and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to start training for MMA. The moment that you start training for MMA, did you have a clear path of where you wanted to go or you just kind of happened?
No, I really had no idea. I had no idea. I just knew I needed a release from being a young, like obviously I was so young, had Isabella, had so much responsibility. And whenever I went training, it's like you forget about everything. It's like I just became so obsessed with learning and getting better and wanting to improve. And I think that kind of work ethic is where I got a lot better and I started being noticed. And I quite early in my career, I competed in the European Championships in MMA and won. And then I competed in Las Vegas at the Amateur World Championships. And that's kind of where like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. But I think my whole career and probably still, I've had a bit of like imposter syndrome. It's like you feel, oh, I'm not good enough. Why am I doing this? They've done this. And people, I definitely get that kind of attitude in the media. I don't know if people think, oh, she's not going to win this fight. She's not good enough. And I keep proving people wrong, which is what I love.
And again, I lived in Belfast and I'm married to somebody who is from Belfast. That's where Roger is from. And there is an excessive amount of humbleness in athletes because, you speak with you, very accomplished. You're like not really dick swinging or anything like that, like same with Roger. Roger is a very accomplished rugby player and a lot of his friends are as well. And you never see like, it's almost like to the point of annoyance with the humbleness. It's like, no, you can talk about how awesome you are. Can you see that for yourself now that you're talking about imposter syndrome?
Possibly, but it's kind of like, I think that's a real Belfast trait. So like, because everybody here, like most people have got such good personalities, such good humor, and it's like they're quite real. So it's like they're quite straight to the point and direct. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
they will roast you. If you try to do dick swing, they'll roast you.
Yeah. My dad's from Liverpool, my mum's from Belfast. And my family they're not like, oh, my daughter's a fighter. Like, nobody really cares. It's just like, oh, Leah's fighting.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and Isabella's even like they're so proud of me, and they're obviously proud of like my journey, but they would be just as proud if I was working in Starbucks or like doing something else. Do you know what I mean? It's always been down to like who you are as a person and your character traits that what matters, not really about what you've achieved.
100%. Do you find that because you have a family that is like that and you come from a cultural background like that, because, we know in MMA, especially the men, it's not so much the women, there is a lot of like smack talk. Oh, you're a piece of shit and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And I never see that with you. You're always very professional, very, sportsman-like attitude. Do you think that because of the way that your parents are and the environment that you are, that's why you don't, is that something you ever do, the smack talking?
I have enough drama in my own life. I don't need to like create fake drama. Do you know what I mean?
I did not have this response on my bingo card and I love it. I'm here for it.
Like I literally have so much going on in my own personal life. I'm like, why would I even bother trying to create drama with someone? Because yeah, I definitely will always like stay true to me and who I am, because I think that's why I've got done quite well, because I've just stayed myself and I don't have to try and be something I'm not.
I love listening to other interviews whenever I have guests to kind of know questions that I would have asked. And there was an interview that you said that it was like very easy to feel like you're the center of the universe. You're
Yeah,
in the cage and there are a whole bunch of people looking at you. What do you think that has helped you stay grounded? Because you can have your family around humbling you, but it needs also to come from within. Like what helps
yeah,
you stay grounded? Because you have a whole bunch of people, oh my God, you're so amazing.
yeah.
What do you
I
do?
don't know. I think I've never really like craved attention or the limelight or being known, or like that's never been what fulfills me, because so I'm surrounded by like women that work. My mum's a clinical research radiographer in the cancer center. So she treats cancer patients all day. My sister works in she fosters children and she works in a disability unit. My brother-in-law works in a care home. Like, and I look at all them people as my role models. So I'm like, what I get to do really isn't that important in real life. It might seem like that to like whenever the media are talking about it, but in real life, it's not really that big a deal.
I love that. So basically, you're surrounded by people who are doing amazing things, maybe not in the
Yeah.
limelight, and it kind of brings you perspective to what you're doing.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I just think, yeah, it's great, and obviously we're achieving great things, but I feel like when I look at people who every single day their job is serving other people, they're looking after other people, they get no attention, they get no credit. That is like very like it keeps you grounded, definitely.
You've built your career being a single mom. Do you find that having a child like almost like allow you to switch gears and take things to the next level because it gives you a bigger purpose? Like, how do you find that having Isabella impacted how you navigated your career?
From when I was pregnant, I think no matter what I did, I wanted to be the best at, or I wanted to keep leveling up. I had to keep like evaluating where I was. And I don't think it would have been just if I was fighting. I think if I was doing anything, obviously I wanted to be successful for her, because we didn't come from a lot of money. We didn't have a lot. And I've been able to create a life where she's like seen the world. Like she has a great life compared to what I had. But I've just always had that like, you can do better, you can be better. What can you do next? And I think it would have been happened in any kind of thing I was doing.
Because I saw you mentioned that you'd drop Isabella in school, drive to Dublin, train, and just so you guys know, like Belfast Dublin is not like just like, oh, it's right there. It's a good one, like 90-minute drive. I always took the train, so
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
this is what I mean. So throughout my career, I've had to train in different places. So at the start of my career, I trained in Belfast. That it wasn't working out. Things had happened. I knew I had to if I wanted to go professional, I had to train in a different team. So that's where I decided I had to train in Dublin. So I was leaving Isabella to school in the morning, going and doing a run on the way to training, drive 2 hours, train, drive 2 hours back, pick her up from school, and do that every day for like 4 years. I did that. It was, when I look back now, I'm like, how did I do that? There were some weeks I literally was like, I don't know if I have money to put petrol in my car to drive to training.
It's funny you say that because I was telling Roger. yesterday. He's been hearing all about me interviewing you for about a week. He's like, when are you interviewing her? So he stopped talking about it. And I mentioned it because I really think that what you've done is remarkable. Like really, really do, Leah. Like every time that I saw Wen come up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud. And I told Roger about the drive, and it was his first question. He's like, oh my goodness, how much did she spend in petrol and gas?
Oh my God. So like every penny I had went into petrol, like went into diesel. And when I look back at it then, I was earning nothing. I was getting paid like £500 a fight. I was like, why would I have kept doing that? Like I sometimes think, why did I keep doing that?
Why do you think you did?
I just had this like inner belief that it was going to lead somewhere. I think even though I'm quite I don't know I don't have a lot of confidence. I would have a lot of self-doubt. No matter what way I'm feeling in my head, I always do. I always push through. I'll always like turn up or show up or keep pushing forward. Like I definitely have a lot of resilience, and it's like the girls, like my friends say, like, Leah, see at the end of your career when you write your book, you've got like the amount of stories I could tell you, the things that happen in fight camp, people fucking you over. It's like you're gonna rat. They're like, you better rat everyone out that's done you wrong. You better tell every single story. I keep my mouth shut.
I'm buying that book. I'm buying that book.
Everyone's getting named and shamed.
Oh, I love it. But just wait for you to be out of it whenever you do it.
Yeah,
so there's no retaliation. So, and this is a question, and I know that I can answer this question because, and by the way, I just wanted to rephrase that the whole thing that I asked about your daughter, I know that it can be a bit of a sexist question because a man wouldn't be asked that, but I just find that it's really remarkable what you have done. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
Now that we're talking about you writing a book whenever you're done, how does it make you feel every time, because your body is your tool of work.
Yeah.
And we all know that it has an expiration date. We don't know what that looks like, especially for what you do, because every fight that you're going into can be the last, if we're being honest.
It could be your last. Totally. And it's like every time you're preparing for a fight, when you step into that fight, when you walk out of that cage, your life isn't going to be the same. You're either going to be on top of the world or you're going to be in the lowest of low places. It's like it's a lot mentally, like dealing with that kind of pressure as well.
So there's the pressure in addition to that of, okay, I need to make the most out of this experience because what happens after that? Is this something that crosses your mind often? Because with me, something that crossed my mind when I was competing, because I knew that he had a deadline. I wasn't going to be able to be doing competitions forever. And I wasn't even getting punched in the face. So how do you feel about this? What are your thoughts? Is this something that you don't think about it?
No, I definitely do. I really suffer from bad nerves. So I really find it hard to control like my anxiety and nerves leading up to a fight. But the last couple of fights I've said to myself, very few people get this experience. Try and enjoy it. Try and enjoy the build up. Try and enjoy the fight week because we're getting to go to like San Diego, LA, California, like have these amazing experiences. So it's like I really tried to enjoy that rather than be so worried and so stressed about winning or losing because it can consume everything to do. It's like my career could be, you could have so many bad thoughts that you have to really keep at bay and keep talking to yourself and keep reminding yourself that it'll be okay. It's not, when you put it into perspective, winning and losing, it's not life or death. You have to kind of think about it like that sometimes because it can become so consuming that you want, because I'm so competitive. Yeah. You just want to win so badly.
But beyond the win or lose for one specific fight, I'm talking about more like long term.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how old you are and I don't know if you are comfortable saying it, but let's say that you are, 28, 29. There is amount of time that you can do that for. Like, for example, Roger retired from professional rugby at being old and he was like 35.
Yeah. So I'm 31 at the minute. So my goal is to become world champion. Like that's my dream is to become a world champion. I feel like I haven't reached my potential, anywhere near my potential yet. A lot of my wins and my success has been down to like being stubborn, and I feel like I'm with such a good team now that I've got so much more to show. I definitely don't want to be fighting forever. I want to, become world champion and retire on a high. And it's just about navigating that now to bring the best version of me out, because I definitely don't think I've shown that yet.
I love that. I love that. And I really do think, especially as fast you've been coming up, it's been like one day you were like doing local fights, and then the next day you are like in, I don't know, being headlining fights. And I'm like, holy shit, how did I like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
Because it was a very, probably not fast in the background with all the connections and all the training that you had to do. But for us on the outside watching, looking in, it felt like it was like, shh, you won a
Yeah.
whole bunch of fights. How did it feel whenever you had won a whole bunch of fights and then you lost? Because you had a lot of fast wins. Like you had a lot of
Yeah.
fast wins, and then it
Yeah.
wasn't a fast win.
Definitely, it's like completely devastating. You feel like you've let everyone down. I get more annoyed for my team and the people around me because I feel like I've let them down. You know, and I feel like haven't done them proud. And I think that's the biggest thing I worry about, is letting my team down, because it takes so much from other people to help me get where I am. Like I have such a great team around me. So when you lose, it's like everything comes crashing down. You're like, what's going to happen next? Am I going to have that opportunity again? Am I going to be able to fight on a big stage again? It's like, it is quite drastic. It's not like football where you have a match every week. Like we fight twice a year, so you have to turn up and perform, and that pressure is like, it's a lot.
How do you deal with the pressure?
I think, do you know what? From my third professional fight as a MMA fighter, which is like unheard of, I headlined the 3 Arena in Dublin. Like it's not like a lot of fighters come up and they have like, easier fights, and they're fighting in small arenas and they have like 10 or 15 fights. Like I turned professional and was like thrown into these massive spots. So at the start, I really struggled because I was so nervous. I feel like all my performances were affected by nerves and not believing in myself. And now I'm like in my 10th professional fight now. I've headlined, co-main evented, like Wembley, the 3 Arena, like I fought in New York, LA. It's like, it's only really now I'm starting to feel comfortable. I'm starting to feel like I can perform. I think a lot of my fights before, I wasn't able to show how good I am because of the pressure, because of the occasion, and because of the big nights. It definitely can affect you, but I've always been able to turn up, show up and perform, which a lot of people can't. Like when they go into the big lights, it's different. Like when you're on those big shows, those big arenas, it's totally different.
So with and kind of piggybacking on that, but going into something that I kind of would be familiar with, which would be kind of cutting weight. Do you have to cut a lot of weight, or because I feel like you're always very steady with your physique.
I found throughout my career, it depends. I feel like weight cutting affects like females' bodies so much that sometimes after I have a hard weight cut, like I've had to do horrendous weight cuts where I maybe lose 20 pounds in 10 days, or like crazy weight. Yeah, like crazy weight. Like I've done a lot of hard weight cuts, but I think it definitely affects your hormonal balance. I feel it affects your ability to lose weight. And sometimes in between camps, I put on a lot of weight, but not even because of eating it. I think it's a lot to do with, it really ruins your body inside, whatever way. Because I've obviously cut weight for jiu-jitsu, for MMA, but my body's kind of regulated now and I don't have to cut so much weight. But it definitely depends on like what you're going through or how your body's affected.
What is the weight limit? I'm like, and I know that if there are any fighters listening to this, they're going to be like, you're an idiot. Well, I am. I'm not familiar with fighting. What is the weight of featherweight content? What is the weight?
It's 145 pounds.
So normally now, what would be like? How far do you keep yourself from that?
When I'm not in camp, I lose weight because when I'm in camp, I feel like I retain a lot of water. My body's under a lot of stress. So it's like I kind of feel like I'm holding water. I put on a lot of muscle. So like now I'm maybe like 155, but in camp I could be 160, it just depends on what my body's going through. But I definitely, when I'm not training, like I haven't trained intensely since my last fight. I've just came back and wanted to be a mum and spend loads of time with Isabella. And I really haven't been training that much. And I've lost a lot of weight. It's like, it's crazy.
Oh, but we're not even talking like, oh, so you stay pretty close to that number that you compete. Do you find that those hard cuts, like the one that you had to lose 20 pounds in 10 days, do you find that it affected your performance? The actual fight?
Definitely. Completely, yeah. And a lot of the time it's to do with, I had just had shoulder surgery about 6 months before. I probably shouldn't have been fighting. And so my determination to go and fight and to do this, it sets me back a bit. But that definitely you're totally drained. It's like totally affects your conditioning, your cardio, like even your thought process when you're fighting, everything's slowed down. So that's like I try not to cut anywhere near that, but I can cut quite a lot in water because I retain water. So my last fight, I lost 8 pounds the night before in 2 hours, and it didn't really like quite easily.
Oh, wow.
But that was just water, so I had to wait till the next day, weigh in, and then rehydrate.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So I saw that Joe Rogan follows you. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
How
I
does it feel? I looked and I'm like, Joe Rogan is following her. Look at her. I have to ask her, how does it feel when you saw Joe Rogan following you? You're like, what's up?
And the other cool person that follows me is Donald Trump Jr. I was like,
Stop
why
it.
did he
Stop it. I'm going to check. Hold on. I have to check.
I was like, I'm the two coolest people, like random people follow me.
Stop it. He does follow you.
How random is that? He likes me. Like, I think because I'm a fighter and obviously like a Christian, he likes it. They go to the UFC, they watch the fights, and I'm actually going to Vegas in like 2 weeks to watch fights. I'm going to message him and be like, are you going? Are you guys going?
How crazy is it? Like whenever you see like this, like famous people, like it or not, Donald Trump or whatever, but it's still kind of like semi-celebrity. Joe Rogan goes without saying. Whenever you see these people following you, you're like, what goes through your mind? You're like,
yeah, it's so random. It's like, wow, that's so cool. It's like, I don't get starstruck, but those two, I was kind of like, that's so cool.
Did you say hello? Did you be like, hey, thanks for the follow or anything or no?
No, oh my god, no! I'm so embarrassed. I'm the most awkward person ever. Like I can barely speak to people. I'm like,
That is so, whenever I saw that Joe Rogan, now I saw that Donald Trump Jr. is following you. Whenever I saw, I'm like, there is cool, and there is like Joe Rogan's following me cool. She's there. I'm not there yet. So where did I know that your nickname is the curse. Where did that come from?
anything that can go wrong will go wrong to me, no matter what we are or where we are in the world. My friend Molly gave me that nickname because she's just like, obviously that's going to happen to you. Like the most random. I don't even know where to begin. Like my car would blow up on the way to training. Like my car would literally blow up.
Well, mind you, you're driving every single day and back to Dublin.
Yeah,
I'm not
Dublin,
surprised.
Like, it would blow up on the road, or like just crazy shit with like just so much drama in my life. Honestly, it's crazy.
So that was your friend that gave you the curse.
Yeah,
That
the
is.
curse.
Whenever I saw it, I started giggling. I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah, I know. It really suits me.
You did a reality TV show. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I did that in the Dominican Republic last year.
What was it called?
It was meant to be called Warrior Island, which is way cooler than but apparently that was already patented, so it was called Go Hard or Go Home, which wasn't. I don't think it was the best name, but it was basically 8 kind of people in the fitness industry had to take on 8 trainees and kind of mentor them through these crazy challenges in the Dominican. It was amazing.
So, what kind of challenges are we talking?
What was the first challenge? It was like we were like brought out in boats to like these like islands that were like inhabited, like nobody had been on them before. We had to like build ladders to climb out of caves or like climb up cliff faces. We had one in the ocean where you had to swim out, unlock like treasure chests underwater. But we had to get the trainees to get fit and get involved and try and get them to kind of turn their life around. They all came from like troubled backgrounds.
Okay. That's quite cool.
It was a really cool, like I'm not a reality show person at all. I was like, so they contacted me, I was like, no. And then I read the concept and I was like, oh, that's actually quite cool.
Would you go if they invited you to Love Island?
No, absolutely not. I've never even watched that. Like I would rather watch paint dry than watch that.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep on telling you about your experience. I just couldn't
No,
wait.
but I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I read the concept and I was like, okay, that sounds quite cool. And it's a month in the Caribbean, so okay, I'll do it.
If I must, I guess I'll go then. Fine. Do you find that stuff like this impact your training? Because I know that you have turned away a lot of like training experiences in different places because of your daughter's school schedule and things like that. So you're already working around your daughter's school schedule.
Yeah, exactly. It's like even now. So I do my camp in Liverpool. So Liverpool's in the UK. For people that don't know, I'm in Ireland. I have to. So every week at the minute, whenever I'm in fight camp, so about 4 months before my fight, I do a flight on a Sunday night. I train Monday to Friday, and then I fly home on a Friday night. So I'm with Isabella at the weekend. So I'm like away from her Monday to Friday to train with the team I'm with because they're the best, and it's like I'm getting amazing training there. I've grown so much, but when I'm not in camp, it's not like I can go to my team and train. It's quite hard for me because I'm obviously Isabella's in school. I don't want to leave her. She's in Belfast and she's doing well. And she is the priority at the end of the day, no matter what I'm fighting or what I'm doing. I definitely want like her happiness is the most important thing. So I do feel quite restricted as to where I can train and what I can do, but at the same time I'm like in a country every other month, so I can't complain.
Yeah, no, but that's crazy. I didn't know that you were doing that, like literally flying to Liverpool, staying there like
Yeah.
Monday through Friday and then coming back home.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like obviously I miss Isabella when I do that so much, but I kind of have to. It's like we were talking about. I'm not doing this forever, so I have to make the most out of this time now to be the best version of me, and try and navigate that.
Imagine being a kid in school. How old is she? 12?
She's 13.
Like, imagine being a 13-year-old, you get to school and it's like parents, like office day, whatever. So what does your mom do? She's a professional MMA fighter. Like, I don't think anybody can, like, how does she feel about the attention? Because some kids can love it. Some kids can feel awkward about that. How does she navigate the fame that you are?
She's kind of like meh. Like she's such a cool kid. Like she is like, no matter what I do in life, she's like my biggest achievement. She's such a good human, but like she's so kind. She's so caring. She's like such a good heart. She's way more patience for people than me. Like she's nicer than me. I'm like get things done, and she's very like has a really nice presence, and everybody that meets her says like she's just the best girl. So and then with that whole thing, she's not really bothered. Like it doesn't really. She likes going like when we go to Thailand or we go to like the fights. She likes like things like that, but doesn't really faze her.
I love it. And I love that you take her everywhere. I see the photos whenever you go to Dubai or you go to different places.
Yeah.
It's like she's hanging with the girls. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I know one of my guy friends texted me yesterday and they were like, Isabella's going to have to get a job when she's next year because Malaga with the girls isn't going to cut it when she turns 18. And I was like, I know, because she's been to like LA, Thailand, Dubai. Like they're like, she's not going to want to go on a normal girls' holiday after the life you've given her.
I love it. I love that. So let me ask you this, Leah. I don't know if it happens a lot to you, but how much shit talking do you see? Because what you do is hard. Like I tried MMA because just for shits and giggles, I got punched in the face once and I'm like, yeah. And that was the last day that I showed up. Not fun, not a fun experience. Did not enjoy. Do not recommend 0 stars.
It's not fun.
So you have a whole bunch of armchair quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, but she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, do you get a lot of that on your social media?
And to be honest, not a lot, but I do get some people. And do you know what? They're always men. They're always like losers. You can tell they're losers, like writing shit about you. And it's always like, I will go back at them. I will say, or like be sarcastic, or because I feel like anything they say, I'm gonna, and then they end up deleting the comment, or they end up saying like, but they're just a lot of like, you can tell they're negative, unsuccessful people. They don't affect me, but I want to be like, you're a loser. Why are you telling me, who's trying to achieve something in my life, that I'm shit at this? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and you know what? Like, I love that you respond, because this is kind of like something has been lingering in my mind, because some of my reels have been really picking up lately. And it's kind of like, I'm talking about my experience about winning the Olympia, biggest bodybuilding competition in the world. And somebody's like,
I love your Instagram and your reels. You're like one of the only people I like to watch.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, and then like, I'll talk about my experience winning the Olympia, which, it's not a lot of people.
It's like the biggest thing in the world.
Yes. And then you have somebody's like, well, but you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, what the fuck have you done?
What have you done? You loser. What have you done?
Yes. And so there is the camp of people that goes, oh, you have to be the bigger person. But I find that by us not putting people back where they belong, we are actually feeding the monster, and people are getting too comfortable saying whatever the hell they want without getting punched in the face, basically.
Totally. It's like I put up a post about Cyborg the other day, and they were like, what did they say? Cyborg's going to destroy you. And I said, well, I would rather her destroy me than be a loser like you, sitting at home slabbering at a woman's Instagram. And he was like, oh, you can't take it. And I was like, no, it looks like you can't take it. You can't take a response. And then he ended up like deleting the whole thread. It's like, delete it then. See you later. When you come back at them, do you know what I mean? I definitely think there's now, if there was loads of haters, I wouldn't have like time or energy. But just if there's like one now and again, I definitely will say something back to you, or my mum will on her social media.
Oh, wait, Mama McCourt gets in dirty and like, stop it.
Everyone gets it. She's like, she wakes up and chooses violence.
Stop it.
And she is so funny. Like her, like, you know what Belfast humor's like? They're so funny and so quick and so dry. Like she is the funniest person.
Oh
on
my
like
God.
one that she like made the headlines once, some news article picked up on her, like going back at people.
Stop it.
It's so funny.
Okay, so you need to tell me about the article. I'm invested. What happened?
What was that? I can't even. Oh yeah, some guy was like, oh, I think they said, oh, pillow punches, and she was like, yeah, well, why don't you come over here and feel those pillow punches? and he was like, okay, Lynn, and she was like, okay, Karen, like calling him a Karen, and she just kept going back and back.
Stop it. I love her.
I'll send you the link.
Oh my God, I have. So do you find that being in Ireland, because, Ireland is known for a lot of fighters, especially boxers.
Yeah.
But it is an island. Do you find that being kind of like removed in Ireland, do you find that that makes your career better because you can kind of like block it out? Or do you think that if you were more kind of like in the middle of the action, things could ascend quicker and quicker and quicker?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think what I've always thought about is because I've always had responsibility, so I've always had a daughter, I've always had priorities, I haven't probably been able to train where and how much I've wanted to, but I can't say it's affected my career because I'm the number one contender in the world. You know what I mean? It's like I possibly could be a lot better if I was able to be in a location where I could train every single day out of camp as well, as much as I wanted to. But I haven't got that luxury. It's like that saying where you have to make as much, you have to do like the hand that you're dealt, you have to make sure you do what you can with it. Not everybody has a perfect situation to succeed, so I have to try and navigate mine as best as I can while being a mum.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
I think that because you know that you are limited with the flexibility that you have to travel, I find that you probably are better off than if you didn't have Isabella, because having her and having your responsibilities with her makes you maximize the time that you have whenever you do get to train. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I find that a lot of people, if they don't have that, they might take the time for granted and the opportunity for granted and all the things for granted, and they end up not showing up best.
Yeah, it could, or that's why I work so hard, or I train so hard when I am in camp, and I can't really say it's held me back because I'm where I want to be right now, but maybe as an athlete, or I don't know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I'm definitely not in like the ideal, and I've never been in the ideal location or scenario to be the top of my game, but I've made it work, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. And you don't have to answer if you don't want, but I'm just always curious because, I mean, you can kick somebody's ass. It doesn't matter how big the person is. How does that impact your like romantic life, kind of like having a boyfriend and things like that?
Oh my God. This is what my book's going to be about. This is why my nickname is The Curse.
Oh, love life is a bit challenged.
Oh my God. Could you imagine living in Belfast trying to have a love life? And like... And I definitely find that to be with probably the likes of yourself or, strong female personality, you have to be very secure in yourself and be quite, manly rather than you have a lot of like strong characteristics, not like
a delicate little flower.
Not aesthetically, but to have quite a strong personality and it's very hard to find that. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think that it is because of your personality or is it because of your career? Because it is very intimidating, I think, probably for a man, because it's not only the personality that, the strong personality, but you can literally kick his ass.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's like you need to, it's just, there's so much has went on and like it's like you see a lot of people want to be around whenever you're fighting or whenever you're, you're traveling or you're doing something big, but in like real life, they don't want to be an actual, do you know what I mean? They want to be seen to be around. They want to be in the cameras, they want to do this. But then when it comes to being a good person in real life and like caring about me as a person, not an athlete, not a fighter, it's hard.
I love that you said that, Leah. I love that you said that because, and I'm going to tell you why. So a while, I created a reel recently, and it was a story that before I met Roger, obviously I was dating this guy, and I get in his car and he has like every single magazine I have been on in the past like 3 months. And I'm like, the fuck is that? And he's like, oh, I'm showing my friends. So he's not dating me. He's dating the girl in the magazine.
Yeah, he's like the persona.
And I said that was a red flag. And I got so much flack because I said that is a red flag. And people are like, oh, a man cannot be proud of you. And I'm like, that's the problem that I think a lot of people don't understand. He wasn't proud of me. He was proud of himself for being with me.
Yeah, totally. I found that it's like they don't value who you are as a human rather than everything else that comes with it, if that makes sense.
The moment you stop being the everything else, then you're gone.
Yeah. Or they're looking for everything else in someone else.
Yeah, no, 100%. How do you filter that?
It's like, I don't know. I'm quite, like, my integrity and how I treat people is like the most important thing. Like, my relationships are always number one. The people I've met, I found like that's not their priority. It's what they want to be seen to be, or who they want to be seen to be with is important. And it's not having real, meaningful, genuine connections or relationships with people. But when I can't relate to the way they behave or what satisfies them, because we're different people. But I think it's hard because I don't go out, I don't drink. So the kind of people that come to me are like, I kind of like, oh, there's no one else.
Yeah. Can we go on a coffee date? Can we go to a workout date?
Yeah, exactly.
But do you have like a panel of advisors, like your friends and things like that you kind of, if you meet somebody, that you kind of go to them?
I don't know if you've seen this show, right? It's on, and it's called Special Ops Lioness, and it's about this like cell in the MI5, but they're all women, and they're like integrated into like Baghdad or like Afghanistan to like infiltrate the camp, and like they're spies. So my group chat's called Special Ops Lioness. So if I even mention someone's name, they know the ex-girlfriend, they've been on Company's House, they know how much their business brings in, they know like all their friends. They know every ex. It's like, yeah, they're dangerous.
Oh, I need them friends, not for a boyfriend or anything, but that's the kind of friends that you want to, well, I kind of have. It's funny. I find that people in Belfast are so loyal. My best friends to this day are my friends that I made in Belfast, and I still talk to them every single day. It's so loyal.
Yes, we're such loyal people, and that is like loyalty comes before anything. Like, I feel like when you go to big cities in America, everybody's like, who are you? What can you do? What can you do for me? It's never like actual genuine. That's why I'm quite direct. I'm quite short with people, and I don't give them a lot of time. But when I do, it's like I will kill someone for you. Like, it's like that's who my friends are. That's what we're always going to be like.
Yeah, I find that that's very cultural, because that's something I see with Roger as well.
Yeah.
If he says that he's going to do something, you better believe he's going to do something. There's no flakiness. There is none of that.
And definitely here, it's like your word is your word. If you say something, that's it. And I think I really appreciate coming from, I know Belfast might be a wee bit backward. It rains all the time, but like the people, it's like there's definitely special treats in the people over here.
100%. So Leah, what is next for you?
Well, at the minute, I have just totally rested. I've gone quiet. I just wanted to come home, be a mum. If you can imagine, I was like doing 2 flights a week for 14 weeks. I had the biggest fight of my life, and I just came back and just tried to rest. But at the minute, I'm trying to negotiate my next fights, which is huge. I'm trying to fulfill my dream of becoming a world champion and trying to navigate everything we've talked about in between.
So whenever you say negotiate the fight, talk to me like I'm 5. And I think that a lot of people, and I think that you have the insight as well, because you are your own manager. What is that? Like, you're negotiating your fight. Do you literally just like hit up the owner of Bellator and you're like, yo, I want to fight with her? Like, how does it work for people to like partner up? Like, I have no idea.
It's quite complicated. The company I'm with, Bellator, has been bought over, so there's new management, there's new owners. We don't know if the old owners are going over to PFL. We don't know their plans. We don't know. But I've had been on lots of calls to try and organise different things. It's all quite up in the air. But yeah, it's basically just trying to get in touch with people, speak to people, get them to tell you what's going on. It's quite a new territory where we're in at the minute. Normally when I'm talking about fights, I just pester my boss in Bellator, and I'm like, right, I want to fight here, I want to do this, I want to do that, until they were like, oh, okay, you can do it. But it's definitely a lot of relationships management and trying to make the correct move.
Yeah, it's so when do you think, and I know that's probably a question, that's how big is a piece of string, but I need to ask, when do you think that you're going to know? Because it's probably hard when you're out in a limbo a little bit like that. You don't know when your next fight's going to be. So what are you even training for?
Exactly. So obviously a lot of my training now is very specific to my opponent. So I'm back in Belfast. I can only really do a bit of weights, a bit of boxing. I'm not with my team. I'm not in camp. So it is hard, obviously. I'm doing 2 school runs a day. I'm doing everything else. So I'm just trying to, I do get a little bit down in between fight camps, because I'm I need to be in the gym. I need to be training. I need to have a focus. I need to have a date. In between those times, it's quite difficult, because you're oh, I can't really settle. It's I'm sure you felt after a competition you have a big come down, because you're what do I do? Do you know?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
So, and if this big fight, championship fight goes forward, do we know who that's going to be?
So, well, we faced off in San Diego. We both won our fight, me, Chris Cyborg, and she's the best to ever do it, the greatest to ever do it. I'll be the biggest underdog in the world. Everybody will talk shit about me online, but I'm the #1 contender. I want that fight. I've said I want that fight. So that's what I'm trying to work towards now.
It's cool. Whenever we started, and I even took note of that, you wrote that whenever you started, there were women up and coming, and one of the names that you say was Cyborg. And now you're going to fight her, potentially.
She was fighting before I even started training MMA. Do you know what I mean? And she's a testament to her as an athlete, and how her longevity in the sport is, that she's still here competing at this level.
Yeah.
I definitely respect her for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And where would that fight be? What were you
Well, we're hoping for Belfast. I'm sure you know what the Belfast crowd would be like here. I've always said
yo.
I grew up you. I grew up watching the boxing, watching all the big boxing shows here, and to be a female that came from this war-torn place to bring such a massive fight with the best to ever do it to Belfast has definitely been my dream forever.
How is the support of the men? Because I remember, for example, whenever Bikini came along, and again, not the same thing, you're getting punched in the face, but hopefully not getting punched in the face, but you know what I mean. Whenever Bikini came along to bodybuilding, the bodybuilders was oh, fuck them and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually they warmed to the Bikini division. Do you see something similar with women starting to take over in MMA, and men is still kind of adjusting?
Do you know what? I think MMA is one of the only sports where women are treated quite equally to men, and they're respected. I've always been treated so well by employers, or even in my gym that I train in, everybody's so respectful. I think because they respect, because they know how difficult it is to do what we do, that they have always had that. And there's so few women do it as well. They've kind of respect that. But no, that's not the same for other sports or other. I feel like I've been given opportunities because I'm a woman. I've been given some kind of slots on cards, or because they do respect me like that.
I love that. Well, Leah,
can I just say, whenever I used to be doing shifts in David Lloyd, I used to think about going to, I used to see you in the gym. You used to be in the gym for 3 hours. I was like, what? Nobody trained like that. Nobody in Belfast trained like you, and nobody trained as hard as you or looked like you. I was like, she is so cool. I was like, you definitely inspired me back then to go training, to train after work, to train before work, because I seen how hard you were working as well. So I want to say you're a big inspiration.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. And I know exactly what season of my life. I was still prepping for shows. I was still competing at the time. And
oh my goodness.
Yes.
You were just in there for hours and hours in the gym. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So you're definitely a big inspiration to me.
Thank you. No, thank you so much, Leah. And like I said, It's been so amazing to watch your journey. As you know, I had no idea what you did back then. I just thought that you were incredibly nice, and you always went out of your way to be kind to people, to be nice, to say good morning, you know what I mean, like just
Oh,
being a
thank
decent
you.
human being. And seeing how much success you've had while juggling, motherhood on your own, being a single mom. I think that you are a testament that if you put your head into something, it can get done. You can use your kids as a reason, as an excuse ultimately, or you can use
Yeah,
them as the fuel
totally.
to take things to the next level. Like every time that I would see something, I'm like, I know her. You see, I know her. I know her. I can give my autograph for her because I know her. Okay.
You're so funny.
And where can people find you?
I just really use Instagram or Twitter, Leah McCourt MMA. I don't really put a lot of, I kind of just post throwbacks. I don't really, I need to get better at doing content, like training content.
I think people would love to see that.
I know. But you know what it's like. See, when you're in the gym, we're not like, do you know people like, I don't know, it's like you're working in the gym. It's hard to kind of show what you're doing. Like, I know you.
Hire a camera person.
Yeah, I do have some. I do a little bit, but I kind of like, oh, I can't be bothered.
I have actually one question that popped to my mind. Sorry, I do that all the time, but I wanted to
It's
ask.
okay.
So, how does the training work? Because obviously, like you're training at another level. You're like going for the championship, and do they just rotate a whole bunch of victims that you train with, and whenever one person tires,
Victims. I train with all guys. I never, like, I come out of training like crying. I never win a round in training. Like, my training is so hard. I get beat up all the time. I'm like wrestling with like guys. Like, it's tough. Like, I'm training with some of the best guys in the world, and it's like the level is so high, and they push me really hard, and they're so good to me. I have such great training partners, but yeah, it's not easy. It's not nice going into training.
Okay, so you're training with dudes. It's not like
Yeah.
a whole, because what I had in mind is like they had like five victims, and then the first one would come, and then whenever you
No.
smoked that one, the other one would come, and then you just like,
No, we do a lot of like studying techniques, training like for certain positions, whether it's groundwork against the cage, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, distance control, clinch, like studying constantly, looking at positions, because obviously like it's a game of inches, one wrong move and you could end up on bottom. It's like we study a lot. There's a lot of technical work, and then there's a lot of obviously conditioning, sparring, drills, strength and conditioning, running, pad work, like everything to kind of just improve your skills and conditioning wise to get in there.
how many hours do you train a day when you're in camp?
Probably about 3 or 4, depending on what I'm doing, because it's really intense. Like you physically couldn't do longer wrestling, or you couldn't spar and get hit. It's very periodized, and we sit down at the start of camp with my coaches and plan the week and what it's going to look like. But it's very intense. Like every day you're in agony, you're sore, you're tired. It's a lot.
Yeah, and the bodily fluids. I don't do bodily fluids. Like the sweat dripping me, somebody else, ew, can't do it.
No, that is the worst. That literally puts me off training. Like
Ugh.
if you see my training, I wear long sleeved everything. I'm like, don't fucking touch me. You're sweating on
And
me.
like if you're like grappling with somebody and their like face is right here in the sweat, oh, I can't.
I know. No, I have to admit that is the worst thing ever.
And they smell. Like every time that I go inside an MMA gym, and I'm like, do y'all not shower? Like
I
deodorant?
know.
Anybody? Deodorant.
It's bad. It is tough. That is a tough challenge being a woman when you're like, get off me. I don't want to. Your skin gets dirty. Like, ugh.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
shower, deodorant. Like everybody's getting a deodorant for Christmas. That's it.
To be fair, the gyms are quite strict. If somebody we flag up someone smells, like they're quite strict with like you have to make sure you're clean going into the gym. But at the same time, it's not nice having a sweaty friggin' whatever in your face.
I don't want to be that person that is like, FYI,
You stink.
BO, deodorant,
Yeah,
deodorant, showers. Ever heard of it? Yeah, I
I
wouldn't want to
know.
be that person.
Can I ask you? See, when you were training for Olympia, how many times a day were you training, or what were you doing? Like hours of
Yeah,
cardio?
I was training for about
Was it low impact cardio you were doing?
It depended. It depended. So there was a time that my coaches had me running like 10 to 12 miles a day. So I had to split in two. And then also lifting. And then if my weight wasn't dropping and if I wasn't getting lean enough, then they would add another hour of cardio. So there were times that I was doing like 3 hours of cardio plus lifting.
I felt like when you were in David Lloyd, were you doing like hours? I felt like you were in there for hours and hours.
I was, because I was.
Wow.
It was a good like 3, 4, because I also came back in the evening. So I'll do like 2 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and then come back in the evening and do another hour and a half.
Yeah. And you're lifting, is it lighter? Or do you go lighter with loads of reps? Is that what you do? Or were you doing a bit of both?
Yeah, like here's the thing, like I had very mediocre coaches. So a lot of the things that they had me do, I don't even know if it was something that was necessary to be done, but it was what I was being told to do. And because nobody was like, everybody blew smoke up their ass and they were like, oh my God, you're the best thing ever. Are you going to question that? No, you're just going to do what people say. Oh, he's the best in the world. I'm just going to, how high? So I just kept on doing what they were telling me to do. And kind of like now in hindsight that I do have a lot more knowledge and expertise, I look back and I'm like, fuck, like what? They had people eating like orange roughies, a type of fish that is incredibly high in mercury. They had people eating that 6 times a day. There's some people that had like mercury poisoning.
Wow. That's so cool that you can look back now and see that and know that you weren't doing maybe the most efficient way to get there.
Yeah. And here's the thing, that's kind of the reason why I don't coach competitors, because that's the way that I learned how to do it. And just because I know the wrong way doesn't necessarily mean that I know the right way. And I feel like a lot of people don't have that discernment to know that just because you don't know you know what I'm saying? And I just don't feel called to work with competitors or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say to me about coaching and I'm just like, I don't know. Like not yet, or I don't know if it's what I'm going to be good at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't split your attention, on, like at least right now, unless it's a passion project.
Now everybody's like, why wouldn't you open a gym? You're mad. No, I'm like, do you understand what it would take to open a gym? And I would have to be in that gym all day, every day. I travel so much. Like that is the worst thing I could ever do right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to like do what I'm called to do right now and then maybe after, but you can't do everything.
That's smart, because I think that it's very easy for you to, you're not going to be able to be 100% focused on everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard enough as well.
And you need to focus on the thing. Like once you win the championship, then you can start to maybe think about other things. Yeah. But until you have that, like nobody remembers the guy that came second.
Exactly. And they're like, you should be opening businesses. You should be doing that. I'm like, everything I earn, I'm investing into my getting to be where I want to be. And then after that, I'll do that. But at the minute, that's not what I want to do.
I love it. Have you got like the Ferraris and Lamborghinis yet with the money that you're like?
I wish. Oh my God.
Be like,
you definitely. This is MMA. It's not Premier League football. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, I love it. Well, Leah, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Thank you. And I know it's late for you. I appreciate your time.
I want to do another podcast, but I want to ask you questions.
We can organize that. We're going to get everybody to send questions, and then Leah is my co-host asking questions.
Yeah, I'll do that, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.